久しぶりだな、麦わら。
What's up, everyone? We are here today watching the final match at the Galaxy Game Store Regional. This is the finals between Red Purple Law and Rob Lucci. You can see that Red Purple Law is on the play and Rob Lucci is on the draw. Neither player had a first turn, so that means that Rob Lucci does not have stage. And on 3-Dawn here, we are going to see Red Purple Law swing a base 5, likely playing down a 3 cost like Zoro Juro or... Okay, yeah, so it is Zoro Juro. And then on 4-Dawn here, we're going to see Lucci. He's going to swing a base 5k here, milling 2, making it 3 cards in trash, giving the -1 to Zoro Juro, making it a 2 cost, tapping 4, playing the Rob Lucci. And that does mean he needs to bottom deck all 3 cards in his graveyard, and that does open up the Rob Lucci to being bottom decked here if the Red Purple Law has a Gordon or Raise Max in hand, which we can see they do. They have a Raise Max. So it does prevent the ramp from the Zoro Juro here, but it does result in the Rob Lucci most likely getting bottom decked this turn. But we're going to see a 6k swing here from the leader. Going to get a 2k Kaku rather, counter out of that, establishes Shiraya and play the Raise Max with the remaining 4-Dawn, bottom decking the Rob Lucci, and then playing out a Reiju to draw 2. But that does ultimately put the Red Purple Law back to 2-Dawn, and then the Red Purple Law is going to pass it back to the Rob Lucci, who's going into his 6-Dawn turn here. He is debating his turn and what he wants to do here, but we can't really see his hand, so we're not sure. If he has a Kaku, he can maybe swing 5 here, milling 2, giving -1 to Reiju, and then, it just looks like he's putting everything on Lucci, milling 2. I would imagine Red Purple Law is just going to block with Shiraya and give it a 1k here. That is a bit of an odd turn from our Lucci player here. That must mean that his hand either is full of late game or full of counter. And it's going to pass back to our Red Purple Law. He's going up to 4-Dawn this turn. Given that Lucci hasn't really established a board at this point, I would imagine you're just going to see Red Purple Law poke 5s here, try to get cards out of hand or whittle down the life, and then play some type of ramp if he has it. I would imagine that's either going to be a Bon Clay or an Ein. And so the Red Purple Law does poke 5 here with the leader, and we see a Suru counter. So that is a 2k for a 5k swing. So that, going back to my earlier comment, that does mean that I would think that the Lucci does have a fair amount of counter in hand in the form of 2ks. But then he does take the 5k from Reiju, willing to go down to 4 life at this point. We see the Red Purple Law passing it back to our Lucci here, who's going into his 8-Dawn turn, wanting to leave the Shiraya up, not giving Lucci the ability to just attach a bunch of Dawn to swing in. Although I would think that the Lucci player at this point does want to play an 8 cost if he has it in hand. I'm not necessarily sure that the trash is set up for a Moria at this point, but ideally he would have an 8 cost Sabo in hand, which would be able to clear the Bon Clay and Shiraya, allowing him to swing in 5k to Reiju, milling 2 more cards, and getting a card out of hand from the Law player, who's likely just going to defend the Reiju. Now, this is all hypothetical and assumes he has the best card for the situation, which it does appear as if he had the 8 cost Sabo in hand and is going to clear the Bon Clay and the Shiraya, and then poke 5 at the Reiju. One thing to point out was the card that he pitched for the Sabo effect was an 8 cost Gecko, which means that he likely has another 8 cost Gecko in hand. We see our Law player here debating on whether they want to pitch a card. We do see our Law player debating for quite some time. Looking at what the Law player has Reiju or not, he has 2 Kidden Killers, a Fire Fist event, a Kid Blocker, and a 2k Sanji, so he may be debating about whether he wants to pitch the Kid here or a 2k. So he does end up pitching the 2k Sanji, not the blocker Sanji, but the old and faithful OP07 Sanji. Now, seeing both the red Sanji 2k plus the Fire Fist makes me think that this is a bit of a unique list and more closely akin to a EBO1 list. But that's going to be it for the Lucci turn, and he passes back to Law here, who's going up to 7 Don. And we just mentioned what he has in hand, so since he didn't pitch the 5-cost kid, I'm willing to bet that he's going to end up playing the 5-cost kid this turn. However, now that Lucci's established an 8-cost 9k body here, it's going to be a bit difficult for the red-purple Law to remove, and going to be a nuisance moving forward with 9k swings, either clearing the board or going into face. A red-purple Law is debating on what they want to do here and how they want to sequence their attacks. If we're playing the 5-cost kid, that means that we have 2 available Dawn prior to using the leader effect, where we would get one back active with the kid. So he's debating about how he wants to use those 2 Dawn. You can see that he's picking them up and debating if he wants to swing 7. But ultimately he decides here to just to poke 5 with lead, and we see a counter with a Rebecca blocker, potentially setting up a Moria for the following turn, because I do believe he has cost reduction in the grave, as well as a Brook. And then we see Reiju poke 6 here. He's going to take that. We're going to see the kid here. I imagine we're going to see the leader ability. And then, yeah, we see him play Kid Killer, although he's at 3 life at this point. So he's going to attach 2, swinging in 7. You're likely going to see Lucci take this rather than give 2 cards up. And then, yeah, passing back, moving into Lucci's 10 Don turn here. Now, Lucci not having open stage is going to make the Moria a bit less effective unless he has something like a Tempest Kick to minus the kid, and then cost reduction plus a Lucci engrave to get rid of one of the 4-cost while swinging the 9-cost into either the Reiju or the Kid Killer. I think they're both the same at this point if you're going to remove the other. But I'm not sure that he has the Lucci engrave. But we are going to see a 7k here into Reiju, giving -1 to Kid and Killer. So we're going to see him look through the trash. I don't see a Lucci at this point. So I'm not sure if he's going for the Moria Rebecca Brook combo to be able to get rid of the Kid Killer, and hoping that the Reiju just goes down from the swing, or if it doesn't, it will certainly go down from the 9k swing. Alternatively, he could possibly have another 8-cost Sabo here with the Kid blocker at 5 cost and the Kid and Killer at 3 cost. That would clear both, and then he would be able to clear the Reiju through swings. So that would be a bit of a tempo swing if he does have that, or if he's able to, okay, so he does have the second Sabo here and is able to fully clear the board while swinging 9k into face, taking our red-purple Law player here down to 2 life. And we did see that the Lucci player did pitch another 8-cost Moria off of the second Sabo. I'm not sure if that means that he has another in hand, or more likely he just doesn't have the Moria set up with a Lucci in trash. The one thing that makes me think that he may have another Moria in hand is the fact that he does have Rebecca in trash, as well as Brook, as well as Suru. So leader plus Suru plus Brook does hit a 4-cost. So that would hit one of the characters that the Law is likely to play this turn. He may have one, but with 4 cards in hand, having played 2 Sabos and pitched 2 Morias, it would be unlikely, but I wouldn't put anything past Lucci. On Law, now having 7 Don, looks like he split it up 5 and 2 here. That may mean he has another Kid or Queen blocker that he wants to play down. We do know he has the 2-cost event Fire Fist, which he could possibly use on the 8-cost Sabo here to bring it down to a 5k, allowing leader to swing even with it, getting a card out of hand, and then potentially playing that second Kid Killer and using the 1 Don you would get off of the 5-cost kid, unless he has the queen here instead. He would be able to swing either 7 or 8 into a 5 if that's the route he decides to go here. That would likely end up in getting rid of the Sabo, unless the Lucci here has a 1K counter for the 5 from leader, and then 2 2Ks going down to 1 card in hand. We see the Law player here poking 5 at life, and that's going to be met with a 1K counter in Helmeppo from our Lucci player, giving further credence to my theory that he may have a 3rd Moria in hand. And we are going to see the 5-cost kid come down from our Law player here. And then we're seeing 2 for the Fire Fist. I'm guessing we were hoping our Law player would give the card on the swing to life anyway. And then we are going to swing 8 into the 5K Sabo here. Lucci here debating on whether he wants to save it. And we do see that the Lucci player had 2 Khalifas in hand as well. So was that last card in hand a Moria is the question. And the fact that he so quickly separated 2 Don and 8 Don tells me that that is going to be a Moria. Him here looking through his trash, setting it up, having put that Rebecca blocker on top. It looks like he's also putting the Brook on top to be able to play it off of the Rebecca. So that tells me that the Helmeppo last turn was setting up the Moria, because leader swing is going to give the kid -1. The Helmeppo is going to be a -3, and then the Brook is going to be -1, bringing it down to a 0 cost, popping the kid here, and then he should be able to clear the Kid and Killer through swings. So he's swinging 7 here at the Kid and Killer. The RP Law is just going to let the Kid and Killer go, which is a bit unfortunate because now you're going to see the Moria come down, I would imagine, playing Rebecca Helmeppo, and then going to play the Brook over the Helmeppo to pop the kid. And then you're going to see 2 9K swings into face, which is going to be a bit hefty for our Law player to counter out of, likely going down to 0 life or 1 life, and then having to spend at minimum 3 cards to counter out of one of the swings. So we see the first 9K and our Law player takes, and then we see the second 9K and our Law player takes. So this is a bit of a precarious spot here with no real way to clear any of the 9-cost bodies and being in 0 life. Our Law player needs to be able to go for game here. With Lucci being at 2 life, that would mean that the Law player here would need 2 rush cards. We do see that he has the Rush Zoro in hand, but it looks like he has a Sanji 2K, 2 Shachi Penguins, and a Shiraya otherwise in hand. So he doesn't have enough swings to be able to go for game here. So you'll likely see Law scoop it up or just try to establish some blockers, and then those get eaten up by the 9K bodies on our Lucci player side. It looks like we are going to see Law tap 3 here for what looks to be the Rush Zoro. I would imagine you're going to then see the leader ability used to bottom deck the Rebecca. With Law having 4 Don remaining, he's going to play the Sanji blocker off of his leader ability and then poke 5. We see the Lucci counter out with Rebecca, and then Law scoop it up. And that is going to make Lucci the winner of the Galaxy Gaming Store Regionals. Hope you guys enjoyed. And before signing off, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Omar and crew over at Galaxy Gaming. Shout out to you guys for putting on such a good event, and thanks for letting me film today. And for everyone else, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.